Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's general LSC Taft meeting for October 12th. We're calling the meeting to order. Anita, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we do the roll call, I just want to welcome everybody here tonight. We again want to just reiterate that we're happy to see you. We love to have participation online or here. I'm not sure if you need to sign in somewhere if you want to speak. Know that. Oh, and of course you should sign in the front in case there were. We need to do contact tracing, and everybody needs to have a mask on. Although we're all very different, we're all part of the school community, and we're working together to keep Taft great and make Taft even better for our students. So we're going to do a roll call and establish quorum. So if you want, we'll just go around like this. And do you?
Is it okay if I follow the order I have?
Oh, sure, absolutely. If you have a list, please do.
Okay, so
Here.
Here. My Twitter. Yes.
Absent.
Here. Present. We're healing. Absent.
Julietta, can you unmute yourself? You want to say here? Julietta, we can't hear you if you're. She can unmute herself, correct, Tommy?
Yeah, she got it.
Okay.
Could you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I say yes, and I say let the person speak loudly, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here. Richard here. Kathleen
Here.
Eliano.
I'll give her a moment. Amelia?
Here.
Okay.
And Mark Richard.
Here.
Okay, the forum has been established.
Okay, so at our last meeting, we discussed that according to our bylaws that we follow, issued by the CPS LSC, that we, as present members in person, had to vote to allow the people who are virtual to participate, and we wanted to have a bylaw clarification about if they could vote. So I don't know, first we should vote to allow them to participate, and then you want to clarify.
Well, we should probably clarify.
Clarify first,
because
okay.
Voting to allow them to participate is voting to allow them to vote.
Okay,
So if anybody thinks they shouldn't be allowed to vote, they should not allow a vote to allow them to participate remotely.
okay.
That's what the bylaw says.
So if you want, go ahead and just give us a clarification about the bylaw.
Okay, so I just want to also mention that I was contacted by two parents who are familiar with the bylaws after last meeting, who were certain that those remote people should have been able to vote, and both parents were upset because they felt they'd been misinterpreted. One of those people is also friends with Scott Flinzer and emailed both of us. And then that parent also emailed Cassie Cresswell, who I think some of you know who she is. She's the chair of the LSC at Jones, and she's the person who put the letter together to kind of change the rules this year so that meetings could be conducted remotely. And Cassie also confirmed that the remote people should have been allowed to vote. This is a little quote from the email Cassie sent both to that parent and Scott and me, so all three of us. What she said was the LSC bylaws already permit members to vote virtually if there is physically a present quorum, as this has been allowed by the OMA for many years. That's what she said, and I interpret it the same way. Basically, there's a list of things that could make an LSC member want to attend remotely, and there's a list of personal illness, employment purposes, business, family, or other emergency, which leaves it open for us to interpret if there's some other reason they might need to attend remotely. Last time we established as a group that we thought the pandemic was an emergency or a legitimate reason to attend remotely. And then we voted unanimously to allow them to attend remotely. If anyone didn't think that was a legitimate reason, they should vote no. They should say, no, they can't attend remotely. And then it says clearly in bylaws, anyone who attends the meeting by audio or video means may participate in all aspects of the meeting, including voting. So once we voted to say they can attend remotely, it clearly says in the bylaws they can vote. But if someone wanted to interpret that and say, I don't think the pandemic is a good enough reason for them to attend remotely or whatever, then they would just vote no for them to attend remotely. So that's the way I interpret it. That's the way the other people who are engaged in this email exchange with Scott and I interpreted it. So I'm just presenting that information to you all.
So I'm just confused because we had a conversation with the head of, Luis Garcia, the head of LSC relations, and he's like the god of LSC. So that's where that information came from. So there's some disconnect and misinformation, and I just think since we got wrong information, that I think that we should invite Mr. Garcia to come, and I think we should all have an opportunity to ask specific questions and hear the answers so that we're all on the same page, so that there's no miscommunication, because if that was the fact, then it changes things. I just think we really need to have him here so we can all ask and make sure we have the right information.
Well, okay, seems like there's two things here to vote on, and I know when things, I'm guessing because the bylaw clarification is on the agenda, we can vote on both, but the first vote is to vote if they can participate and vote. So I think we have to address that, to vote on that first. And then if we want to vote to have Mr. Garcia come to clarify, then we can vote on that. Does that sound correct?
Well, part of the clarification is if COVID is a reason not to come. So if you're sick.
Well, can you quote that? Is that just something that we deem an emergency, or do we have to do?
It's for other emergency, so it's wide open, so we can decide if something's an emergency or not.
So, okay, I understand what you're saying. So we can discuss that or however you want to proceed with it. Okay, so you want to vote on this before we have Mr. Garcia answer our questions?
Well, we have to vote right now to allow the members to participate, and as the, I asked Ms. Like and Mr. Plensner and Ms. Doherty-Trebbing to read the bylaws and to understand, like, if we need to amend the bylaws or if this is already included in the bylaws.
Okay.
And I think we've established that it is included in the bylaws, that we can go ahead and do this, and it's been there for a while because your book is from 2014 to 2016.
Yeah.
So I think we can go ahead and do that, but then if you want to vote if you want to have him come, I think we should have a vote to decide if we need the clarification from him, further clarification, or if or if the majority of us feel like it's clear.
Right. And interpretation of, as far as COVID goes, I mean, if all the teachers are in the building and admitted students, to me, that says one thing. So I want to clarify that also. So if, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to just point out that the reasons that it says somebody can be participate remotely is due to personal illness or disability, personal employment purposes, LSC business, or a family or other emergency. That person must tell the chairperson in writing that they're not going to attend, and then we, as an LSC, will vote whether or not to allow them to participate remotely.
So each meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That sounds like what you've done in the past.
Yeah.
So gotcha.
And maybe some people don't think that we should
Right.
attend remotely, and then they would vote no, and
Gotcha.
then we just see if they get the majority.
And last meeting too, our students, not to throw anybody under the bus, I'm just saying that our
Right.
student also wasn't here.
Right.
So
Right.
we need a quorum to conduct business, so we just have to be mindful of that also.
Okay, so, we are going to vote for our 2 remote LSC members to participate and to vote, be able to vote in our tonight's meeting. So does anybody want to make a motion?
So we're gonna have to do this every meeting. This will be on the standing agenda item. So whoever's not physically here, we have to vote to see.
Yeah, so like if
Okay.
Mr. Mr. Scalera was working, and like he said, he works a lot, anytime somebody's
Okay.
not present, we have to go through this.
So they can participate.
So they can participate
And
remotely
And they have
and
to
vote.
say,
Right, they have
the
to
reason.
email me, or, put it in writing, which they did.
Okay.
Um,
I just was trying to understand that this is now a standing agenda item.
yes, it's now a standing agenda item.
Okay.
I'll make a motion
Okay,
that we allow our 2 LSC members to join us and vote, have the right to vote in this meeting.
wait a second.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, so, the next point on the agenda is our LSC meditation with Ms. Devine, the TFA counselor, and thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I thought when my son was in the academic center, Ms. Devine led us through a lot of really nice, great meditations, and a lot of times before meetings, people have a meditation to focus on kind of bring everybody together with kind of the same vision. So, thank you so much.
Can we get closer to the mic, or do you think we're good? I
Um,
can speak loudly.
Oh,
Come on, right
There.
here. Definitely. There you go. There you
Well, I just don't want to be like standing in front of you and Mark.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for asking me to lead a short meditation to start tonight's meeting. I'm Karen Devine, one of the 10 counselors here at Taft, serving our students and families by offering emotional, academic, and post-secondary support. I work with the 8th and 9th graders, sponsor the Mindful Monday Yoga and Lego clubs, as well as coach the Academic Center cross-country and track teams. Mental and physical health are the foundations of a life well led and are the foundation to learning and growth. Let's take a few minutes tonight to settle in with our breath. At your comfort level, feel free to close your eyes or to gaze down, trying to lessen distractions. Breath can come in and out through your nose, or in through your nose and out through your mouth. Feel free to breathe as naturally and slowly as feels good to you tonight. I also like to think of a puppeteer in the ceiling, gently elongating our necks and backs as we sit tall and strong, all the while relaxing into our chair. Let's lead our shoulders crunching up to our ears, then round them back and even assist them down with our hands, expanding our chest to let in that breath. While we work at elongating our breath in and out, we might become aware that we often breathe in that shallow and short manner where our breath stays just up in our chest. Tonight, let's expand our breath and bring it down into our belly as we elongate the time it takes to breathe in, matching it with the time it takes to breathe out. Remember our puppeteer above us in the ceiling. As we continue with our breath, let's each set an intention that comes from yourself, yet will mingle with all of the intentions of all participants here tonight toward a common goal. We have students, parents, teachers, counselors, administrators, community members here tonight. As we continue to breathe, let's return to the purpose of our work, the intention that brought us here tonight. Let's each think of an action word that might guide us tonight through this meeting. For example, give, or hear, or nurture, or rest. What is a word that can help guide you through tonight's meeting and the work moving forward with this important committee? Let's breathe in, I will, and out the word you have chosen. Go through a few rounds of this to yourself. Breathing in, I will, and out that action word to yourself. Let's root that intention in purpose, commonality, and growth. The idea of stepping into and walking in others' shoes to understand. Our thoughts become words, our words become actions, our actions become habits. Let's listen to understand tonight and not to respond. Let's leave space for thought, care, and intention. Let us bring to focus the understanding we have to take the time to address this important work at hand. Focus on working together with the clear goal of making a safe and nurturing environment for our students to thrive and succeed. Now let's take a moment to slowly come back to the present, ready to follow our intentions and meld them together as we meet in community to help our eagles soar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nygaard.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Anita, do you want us to vote about having Mr. Garcia come? Or do you want to just,
If that's what our bylaws are, then that's what our bylaws. I'm just
okay.
confused as to why we got different information, that's all.
Yeah, I
So-
understand, and I did talk with him for a while yesterday, and I don't know why that was.
What did you say?
Well, we had a whole different conversation, which we'll be getting into.
And there's some information in there that I don't, in your conversation with that too, that I don't understand either, so.
Okay,
We don't have to vote to ask him, we can just ask him.
Yeah, we can just ask him, we don't have to
Yeah,
vote, yeah.
Okay,
okay,
it's always good to
We
have
could
him.
ask him to come to our next meeting and,
He always comes, he's done it
yeah,
before.
yeah.
okay. I'm sure we all have a lot of questions for him anyway, so it'd be good to have him here. Okay, so our next item on the agenda is the approval of today's agenda. So everybody has the agenda, yes?
I'll make a motion to approve, but can we just fill in the locations of December and February's meeting?
Oh, sure.
Just
You
so-
want to go ahead and,
Just go ahead and fill that in. When we know we're gonna be here.
it's going to be here for
those
just,
2
yeah,
days or
yeah.
2 months, and March would be freshman camp.
Yeah.
Other than that, I make a motion to approve today's agenda. I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Julieta and Ms. Mano, I assume you're good? Okay,
I
Yeah,
just
sure.
have a question about, so you got an email saying why they couldn't, both of them could not?
no, oh, yes, sorry, yes,
Okay,
yes.
Well, I would like to hear their vote
Yeah.
recorded. I didn't hear them.
Oh.
In the omnibus, or can we record their vote?
For the approval of today's agenda? Yeah, sorry. Ms. Pasco?
Yes, I
Vote
I
to
voted in favor.
Okay. And Ms. Dunn?
Sorry, I was having some troubles with my mic. Yes, I vote to pass.
Okay. That's actually another thing all of these documents are in the Google Drive, so you should have access to them, but that's where you'll find the documents that we printed out that we're going through today. You should have the agenda. Okay, next on our agenda is COVID safety.
11 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Chris. Approval of the minutes for our September 14th meeting. Does everybody see that?
Can I just say I like the font? Thank you very much.
Nice and big, huh?
Yes, thank you. Like the new Reader's Digest.
I'll make a motion to approve December 14th meeting minutes.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Amelia?
Aye.
All those opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay. All right, so number 6, COVID safety. I didn't have, I asked Mr. Gershaber if he had this in his principal's report. He didn't. I just wanted, since there's so many things that go into COVID safety, I just wanted to give you a chance, if you have any numbers about anything about, from the beginning of school to
Sure.
now and how things are going
And just so you know, the 2 assistant principals right now that I think are doing the jobs of other people are here. And so I'm going to let them, if they can
Okay.
talk about how it's kind of changed over the last couple of weeks, maybe they can do it. Eric and Jenny, are you ready to speak on that at all? I know it's for the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, Jenny? Jenny, just so everybody can hear, can you come up, please?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. This is Ms. Greenblatt, our assistant principal. Yeah.
So the contact tracing process has changed a little bit. So AP Floors and I get all of those inquiries, and it was like they wanted to schedule every roster, the attendance, the seating charts, and now they've shifted to just asking us to verify that through the classrooms that desks are 3 feet apart, which they are, and if masking is practiced, which it is. At lunch, we've instituted here at the varsity campus QR codes, so we're able to, if students fill it out, we're able to say this is the table to really narrow it down. Last week, we were down significantly in the number of cases, then there was a little bit of uptick this weekend, so if you're checking your email today, you see that there are a lot of positive, but most of them have either been like not actionable or not a lot of close contact, so.
Not actual or.
They're non-actionable, so that means that
actionable.
when they do the interview with the case, that they determine that they were not contagious in a school setting. Or they say it is actionable, and that's when they try to figure out who the close contacts were. So what we're saying is really it just depends on who they ate lunch with. Because otherwise, if they're in a classroom with a mask and it's 3 feet apart, and then they will look and see if the students are vaccinated or not to determine like who was a close contact.
Cool, thank you. Go on.
Sorry, so it's a CPS protocol? It's not like any
It's a
sort of like
CPS.
everything that we follow is a
Yeah,
CPS
so
protocol?
we get an inquiry from contact tracing, asking for information. We provide that information within 1 or 2 hours. They do their full investigation. They determine who the close contacts are. They send out those letters. And then when that's finalized, we get a summary email. And then we send out the reported case of COVID-19 email.
And are you doing testing in the building now?
So I know that there is testing, but I know Mr. Levins and Mr. Flores have been working with that. The company is not coming when they said they're gonna come. And so, it was supposed to be Tuesdays, then it was Mondays, then it just hasn't been consistent, so I know AP Levins and Flores are working with them to try to get them on a more consistent schedule.
Ms. Greenblatt, just so I know and so everybody knows, how many hours the most have you put in one day doing COVID, and what was the least? So what was the most you've had to put in one day doing this COVID stuff?
Probably
6 hours?
Yeah.
And then the least amount you've had?
An hour.
An hour, okay, good enough. And I thank you for that, Jenny. Thank you, Eric.
Does anybody
I
else
wanted
have
to
any
ask,
questions?
Are the little houses that we used to see on Aspen, would they still appear? Okay, all right. Sorry, that's a teacher thing. When a student is quarantined, a little house will appear on a roster telling us that they're at home and approved for remote learning. I don't know if remote learning or simultaneous, whatever word it is now.
Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate your hard work. Mhm.
Thanks. Does anybody else have any questions in general about COVID safety on our campuses or? Was it in your report to discuss lockers? Because I know that was part of COVID safety.
It wasn't, but I can always talk about lockers.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, do you want to do that? I know that was in part about having people move through the halls, and lockers hadn't been distributed, so do you want to just,
Yeah, I'll talk about
Tell
that
us
now
how
real
that's
quick.
going.
So in the beginning of the year, we had, it actually came from Glenbrook North. We went there on a visit, and we were kind of picking their brains and trying to steal in their ideas. And we asked about the lockers, and a friend of mine who used to work at St. Pat's with John Catalano, who's the athletic director, said, we don't even give lockers anymore. The kids don't want them. We said, really? And I said, he goes, yeah, most of the kids are dropped off, and they don't even request lockers. In the beginning of the year, we asked kids who want lockers, and then whoever wants lockers, we give it to them. And he says it's usually about 200 or 300. So we said, well, let's try that this year. We were still kind of waiting for COVID protocol, like what we're going to do as far as locker rooms go and everything like that. So we gave it a couple weeks. And then we started to notice, we're like, have you noticed that the kids are in their classrooms 1 minute after the bell? And I said, yeah, I mean, this is a great year. And then someone brought it, it's because they don't have lockers, Mr. G. And they're going right to their classrooms. We said, we might have stumbled onto something here. So then I started getting emails about, you know what, we have bags, and my kids are in sports. So we made the concessions that anybody that was in sports, we could give them lockers that they could put in the beginning of the day, and they could get them at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, they can leave them all night and get them the next day. So we put that in for all the sports. They had to just talk to their teachers. Then after a while, and so we did put the survey out. At the Freshman Academy, I believe 800 kids wanted lockers. So we said 800 out of 1,200, that's enough, just give them to everybody. Okay, so we did it at the Freshman Academy. Here, I believe it was only 600 out of the 3,000. So we said, let's hold off a little bit. But then we started getting some kids, and I understand, like, you know what, Mr. G, what about when we have big coats and everything like that? And I really thought, you know what, 60% of our kids go to community colleges. And when you go to community college, you have to bring your coat, and you have to bring your bag, and you have to pack light. This is different than pre-COVID when everybody had to carry all those books around. A lot of our stuff is online. So we said, let's try it without the lockers. But then I started getting some pushback from, and valid, you know, it was valid concerns, like, what do we do when we got the big coats and stuff? So we said, you know what? Okay, let's start giving them lockers. So we're going to start issuing lockers within the next week or two. We've got to have a system in place that we can do that. However, I think going forward, I think what our policy is at the Freshman Academy, I think we can always issue the lockers right away. I think at the varsity campus, it's really important, especially as kids get used to our crowded hallways. Until they get used to that and find their ways, we're not going to issue lockers for like that first month. Because we want to really instill, like, get to your classes, and then we'll do the lockers when it starts to get cold like now, and then we'll issue lockers. So I think we kind of stumbled onto something here with the COVID. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to start issuing lockers. It's going to be a slow process, but I would believe in about 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have everybody with lockers. I don't want to promise, but by the time it's getting really cold out there, kids that want lockers will get them. A lot of kids don't want them. We found out in previous years, the kids have like, I didn't even go to my locker this year. I haven't been there all year long. So the kids that do want lockers, right now the process is going to be slowed down because we want you to have your locker near your first period class. We can't just have lockers. All the lockers right now are tied up, so you can't like pick a lone locker because we don't want kids like saying, I don't want this locker, I want this locker next to my friend. We don't really want that because it promotes social gatherings, and every boy in this area has Axe spray, and they got to spray themselves between every class. So we're going to really promote that. It's just kind of before school and after school, but we will be issuing lockers soon.
I want to throw up a question. So the forms that they filled out in school, if they want to, those still stay?
Those still stand, yeah, but we are going to also say open it up to anybody else and stuff. And so I'm going to be kind of lenient because I think some kids are going to be like, well, I didn't do it, but now I want a locker. We're going to take care of those kids. I mean, I'm not going to be like, no, you didn't miss the deadline. I'm never like that. So I think a kid in November that all of a sudden says, you know, I don't want to carry this parka around all day long. Can I get a locker? We'll take care of them. Any other questions on lockers?
so you're going to do this every year? You're going to have them request? Because that's a great.
I think it is, yeah, every year. But again, we won't give them for that first month because really, I mean, I thought like, oh my God, the Freshman Academy kids are here now, and this is unbelievable. And it's like, no, Mark, it's the lockers. I'm like, oh, darn it. You know, so we're going to go through a learning curve here when the kids are going to be hanging out their lockers. We get all that. But you know how crowded this campus can be when you get, you know, this year we had 2,200 out of 3,000 kids have never been on this campus. So there was always that clog by the second floor and the first floor umbilical. Now the kids are going there. I walk through there every day during those times, and it's slow, but kids are moving. And I would say 99% of our kids have their mask on. 1% has it like this, you know. And all you gotta do is point, and they're like, oh, sorry, like this. So it's pretty good. So we're learning how to get along with this.
Okay.
All right, lockers.
Great, thanks. Okay, well now we're on to reports, and this is your reports of first report.
All right, principal report. I'm gonna try to get through this pretty good. Let's go with the first one. I attended a high school summit called Reimaging Assessment with APs and core department chairpersons and coordinators. I was kind of in and out of that, mostly out, but I did attend it. But Ms. Greenblatt attended it, Mr. Flores attended it with our chairpersons and our coordinators, and that was a couple weeks ago. I like this next number. We increased our freshmen on track week 5 from 90% in 2021 to 97.2%. Remember, everybody, I mean, and this is Ms. Ragusso's baby since she's been here. I want to be level 1 plus. The only thing that was holding us back with everything else is that freshman on track. We were like at 87%. We couldn't crack that. Now we are. If they ran S2RP right now, this school would be a level 1 plus school for the last 2 years because of that. I also want to point out, and this is a good time to do it, is our grading policy. So I'm giving everybody homework here. In your packet here, the last 2 pages are the case against giving zeros. Because I know you know that we changed it from 50% is now our lowest grades. But I want you to read that to kind of see, because I think people are like, okay, well, whatever. I want you to read that to understand why we did that. And I think that's having a lot of influence on our grades right now, because the old way was kind of burying our students. When you read this article, a case against grading with zeros, you'll understand. So the week 6 grades came out, and we have 22 schools in our network. Right now, we are 3rd as far as failure rate. We only have 6% of our kids right now have failing grades. 6%. First is Northside College Prep, Lane is 2nd, and then we are 3rd. And then we have 19 other schools below us, with the average being around 19% Fs. So, I mean, the policy, I think, is working, and I think our teachers are working hard to help kids get that leap. And so it's really good. The fact that our neighborhood school here is up with the select enrollment schools that have 100% of the kids testing into that school, and is I think testament to a lot of hard work around here. Incidentally, Mr. Natick brought his mom's report card here from 1954, and I just want to show you the grading scale back in 1954. The best grade you could get, superior. The second one was excellent. Then you could get good. The F was for fair, and a failing grade was D. So it's right here. And looking at this, she did pretty well. Mostly superiors and excellent. So thank you. That's going to go in our museum that we have in the library there. So thank you, Mr. Natick. Let's move on. We held a safety meeting, Taft safety meeting, committee meeting. I think those go really well. The nice thing about those meetings, I think everybody involved in that is all about what's safe for our teachers, our staff, and our kids, and we're really focused on that. And so I think it's really going well. It's one of the best meetings I think we attend here, because we're all on the same page. We're all trying to help each other. Held meetings organized by LSC, Ms. Ragusso. I'm gonna give props to Ms. Ragusso here. We had a meeting about a week ago, and they were with the bigwigs of CPS that normally don't even know where Taft is at, and they were in my office, and we were giving them issues that we have with Taft. And it wasn't like Ms. Ragusso will say, it wasn't us complaining like we need. We were showing them how we actually, spent $240,000 in our auditorium. Okay, we spent $300,000 on the lights that we had. So we're bringing a lot of money in here, but we need your help with these rooftops. These rooftops are like 30 years old. We can't do that. We need help with the locker room, or the air control in the gymnasium here. Once we do that, I've got alumni lined up that will plop down hundreds of thousands of dollars with our locker room, but they're not going to do it unless you help us. So it's kind of like, help us. I feel like that, help me, help you, whatever that movie is, but so I think they heard us, they walked around with us, and we're going to talk about a lot of things, key issues here. So thank you, Ms. Ragusso, for having that meeting. And they know what it's like to have a meeting with Ms. Ragusso now. So I think we're going to go well. Next one, hired a varsity head cheerleader coach, Ms. Eifred, who is on staff. I like having staff members here. So we hired here, held a successful fire drill. COVID vaccinations on both campuses, October 29th and October 30th. Oh, you know what? That should be September, my fault. So make that September.
How did that go?
Not well.
No?
Not well, no. We have one of our wrestlers, 4 times in a row, we've had the city championship in wrestling, Kayla Del Toro, who is on the team and pretty good. She's been selected as a top 5 finalist for the 2022 Illinois Tricia Saunders Award, which is like the best female wrestler in the state. And I think she's going to get it. I really do. The last one I'm going to save for Miss Devine, because Miss Devine is the coach of our 8th grader. Miss Devine, can you tell everybody what our 8th grader did today or yesterday?
Vanessa Alvarado, one of our 8th graders, she won the cross-country meet on Saturday. But that was amazing, at a time of 8 minutes for a mile and a half, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, so think of that. But the coolest part was her quote at the end when I asked how the race went, and she said, I said, how did it go? And she said, well, you know, toward the end, I had to decide whether to walk or win, and I decided to win.
Yeah.
There you go. That's an eagle.
That's our kids. Right?
Yeah, that's an eagle.
Sorry, thank you for letting me share that.
That's okay, and you're coaching them, so
Yeah.
I still say my best times in education is when I was a coach. I'll always say that. Thank you, Ms. Devine. Okay, let's see, motivating families. I'll tell you, we're motivating families and community to get involved. We had our Friday night light game where we saluted our first responders, which was really nice. We had Commander Begain here, Maureen Begain from the 16th district. We had the commander from the firehouse here. We had a bunch of firemen out there, and they were all flipping our heroes coin. They were touched when we did that. So our first responders, we know who our neighborhood is, and I think they really like that. A lot of good. I know we're doing well when we make the 16th district police blog, as far as Taft did this for us. So nice job to everybody there. And a lot of our security and custodians are working overtime to make these nights happen. So it's really appreciated. We had our salute to our alumni, which was a really big event. We had about 100 alumni show up that night. Again, these were the alumni. A lot of them were the alumni that I met at that Facebook, 1,500 people at Caldwell Woods over there. And so now I've merged their main guy who has all their mailing list from our alumni from 1979 to 2002, who Miss Lunday has no idea even exists. Now they've merged each other. And so now we're going to try to get those two organizations working together and really, truly get an alumni association. So they're working out. We beat Lane Tech again in football. We had about 1,000 Eagles at the game. It was a really good game. And you know what? You know I'm not Lane Tech's biggest fan, but whenever we play them, it's always a good game. And we did really well at that game. I'll just leave it at that. I attended the class of 1959 reunion, the weekend before Saturday. I give my props to Tina. She went with and sat at a banquet while I talked to the alumni, but she always has a good time there. And so they donated about $500 to us and some other stuff. So they're really involved. So far, the class of 1959 has probably given this school close to $12,000 for like the alumni clock that's supposed to be here. We also have a Taft like monument that's going to go on Bryn Mawr and Natoma. They've given money for that, as well as Gore and Davinovic. Blast in the Past is actually getting us some granite for that too, so we're looking forward to that. I'm a member of the Network 14 High School Principal Advisory Board. Yes, people actually want to hear my point of view, and I'm on that. Reading 2 books, Courageous Conversations and the Equity of Social Justice. This Friday is our homecoming game versus Whitney Young. I've never done it before in 8 years. I walked out to the football field. I got all the football players together, and I said, I've never done this before. You have to win this game. I'm letting you know, I want maximum effort this week. You have to win this game. And we have our 2 homecoming festivals this week. It was originally, we were going to have the freshmen, 7th, 8th, and freshmen from noon to 2. And then we were going to have the varsity from like 3 to 5. And we're like, yeah, in the daytime, this is going to be great. Get them on, And the kids did not like that. When I came to Monday, they're like, Mr. G, come on over here. And so we adjusted the time a little bit. I do listen to our kids. We gave them an extra half an hour. So I think the freshmen start 2 to 4:30. So it's a half an hour. And then the varsity, I believe, is 5:30 to 8 o'clock. So
This is outside.
this is outside the freshman academy. So we're the freshman academy, where it's kind of a triangle with the 2 buildings. We have fencing that's going to go around. We're going to have the DJ. We can actually get loud to where we wouldn't have been able to get loud over here. We wouldn't be able to put the kids on the football field because it does have a weight limit, believe it or not, because there's actually like stuff underneath it that holds water. So, and the kids, God forbid, our ladies wouldn't have been able to wear their high pumps, which they had to wear. And I was hearing the end of that too. So we're going to have it at the freshman academy. Supposed to be cold, and so we're going to do the best. We're looking for some hot chocolate, but Eagles prevail, and we'll do the best we can on there.
Do we have tents or anything like that?
No, we don't have tents, but it's not
Okay.
supposed to rain right now. It
Okay.
looks like it's supposed to be cold, like 59 or 60.
Okay.
So Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good time. I think our kids are gonna be happy just to be together. Right now, our freshmen, I think we have about 600 freshmen signed up for it. Our varsity is around 1,300 that are gonna be there, so it's gonna be a good time. So that is the report. Any questions on that before I go to budget?
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Okay. As always, I will give my props to my assistant principals who always make me look good. I'm the weak link on that team, and they are always working so hard, Saturdays and Sundays. So I do have a couple of approvals here. The first approval is for, and I put it, it was like a attached sheet I gave everybody.
Yep.
The first one is for Compass Transportation, $28,797.12. This is for our buses for August and September. Okay, a lot of money, but usually our number one expense here in internal accounts is buses. We normally spend about $180,000 a year on buses. So that's $28,000. I need that approval. Then I need an approval for Jostens or our yearbooks, $28,800. We don't have the money now, so what we always do, we use instructional fees to fund it. And then at the end of the year, when everybody pays their $65, it gets paid off with maybe a little bit more. So those are the two approvals I need. The internal account book transfers are really just those two numbers that we are moving from instructional fees, one into yearbook, one into transportation, because we put them in those buckets, and then we pay out those buckets, okay? So those are my two book transfers. I do have some other book budget transfers. This is in 115 funds. I've got a 15,000, a 28,100, a 2,500, and a 24,500. On our SBB, which is student-based budget, which is the one we get $5,885 per student here. Sometimes buckets go in the negative because we've got overtime that they pay and they make it negative. With overtime with teachers, overtime with ESP, we may have some other things that go out, like sometimes a teacher may change a lane because they were hired in October. And then all of a sudden that lane gets changed, but they didn't budget it for that, so they go negatives, and so there's always a little bit here and there. So those are the budget transfers and approvals. Any questions on any of those?
What is ESP? I'm sorry, I can't, all the acronyms sometimes.
Is it extra support personnel? Educational support personnel, but now they're called something else. What is it? It's paraprofessionals, yes. I always forget the new ones. So that's your Ms. Graca, Ms. Diaz, Ms. Vaughn, Ms. Cash. Ms. Cobb. Okay, any questions at all?
Do you want to just mention that about the bus that we'll have coming that was approved last year that'll take care of this monthly cost?
Right. In the spring, we all approved a bus, a $60,000 12-person bus that we're going to get probably in the next month or two. We're going to trick it out with the Taft on the side there, and it's going to take care of. When I had Ryan do the analysis when he was an athletic director, he told me that it could save us up to $60,000 a year. So I'm like, this is the biggest no-brainer in the history. If I pay $60,000 and I get $60,000 benefit every year, sign me up. So again, we don't have to get a big bus to send our chess team downstate for 3 days, like big yellow bus. Everybody in the state shows up in their buses, and here's CPS showing up in their yellow bus, and it's demoralizing. It really is. It's embarrassing. So now we're going to have our own bus, but we can also send smaller teams like debate, okay, bowling can all get to over there. All the smaller teams that are less than 12, we can load it up. It can also save us if maybe we have a soccer team that's going over there. We could put all the equipment on a bus, and we don't have to have safety where it's not in between the seats and it's really bad. So it's really going to help us out. So I'm hoping that next year we see the benefit of it and we get another bus too. So, okay, any questions? All right, I talked too much. Thank you so much.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Did you guys hear everything, Ms. Pasco and Ms. Mono?
Yes, don't worry.
Do you two have any questions?
No, not right now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna take a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Ms. Pasco? You're on mute.
You could do like a thumbs up.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed? All those abstaining? Okay, motion passes. And then, that's all it for you? Okay, so now we're going to move on to the CIWP. It's presented by Mr. Flores and Ms. Greenblatt. And just to let you know, Mr. Flores shared the CIWP with us. It's in our Google Drives, and that's something that we should all review because we're going to need to understand that before we do our evaluations. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. So just a real quick update. We were part of a focus group for CPS about the CIWP process moving forward. So the question up for debate right now is whether or not to stick with the timeline that is on every 2 years, where you rewrite it in the spring and it's adopted for the next 2 years. That process will begin this coming spring in 2022 to rewrite the CIWP for the next 2 years after that. And the board is debating whether or not right now to give schools the option to extend their current CIWP for an additional year and then restart the process for the new CIWP for the 2023 spring. So we are part of that focus group where we discuss it, give our opinion, and they have one more focus group this week to take all the issues together and escalate it up to the executive board to
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Flores?
When did they say that we make that decision by anything?
Yeah, no, hopefully, it'll be at this month or November's.
Okay. Yeah, because we'll need to know for, otherwise we gotta make it. See it.
Right, when does that, so if we were just in normal times, when would the process start?
Start in the spring of this month.
Okay.
Spring. Or maybe it could be in a group made up of staff and parents. To go through the process, which we do the school effectiveness framework, root cause analysis of different data points for the schools, and from that we determine and take 2 to 3 focus areas. So we will keep moving.
Okay, can I ask, I don't know if you know this, when I printed the calendar out for LSC, that's for all LSCs, it says that we're supposed to have like a couple of public meetings about the CIWP. I assume we have it at the LSC meeting. Do you, I mean, I know you're presenting it, but I don't know that that's, like, I know you just present the report, but do you know, like, have we done that in the past? I know a lot of,
I think that's why we're doing that now during this, because before we do it and then all of a sudden 2 years later, we'll be like, hey, let's do this again. So that's why we kind of added it to the agenda so we can constantly monitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Thank you, Ms. Greenblatt.
Okay, next on the agenda is the chair report, and I just wanted to let you all know of a few updates that are in our packet here. At the last Office of LSC Relations meeting, there was a little at the end, a discussion about how the HB 1158 was passed and signed into law, and it's in your packet at the end of July, but there has been no notification to us about this. I didn't even know this existed. But it's effective, and it states that high schools can have have a total of 3 student members, and that our quorum now moves up to 8. So Mr. Garcia said he was getting together information to show that there hasn't been like a general packet sent out to all the LSCs, but he's working on that. We had a conversation yesterday trying to clarify what he did know and what he was comfortable saying. I'm sure this is what's going to happen. Like, our quorum is now 8 instead of 7, and that'll move our budget transfer approvals to 9 versus 8 is what it used to be. Our 3 students still won't be voting in the principal evaluation, so those kinds of numbers stay the same. 11 of us. We're in a little bit of a debate if that's makes 6 or 7 a quorum, which we'll figure out.
I found it here.
Oh, did you?
And I'll show it to you.
Oh, okay. Well, does it say, is it clear?
I think,
Just watch out for that. Okay, well, we'll have an answer for
Is
you
that
guys.
clear?
You know, I know.
okay.
Okay, we'll have an answer, and maybe also, because before we're voting on that evaluation, maybe we'll have Mr. Garcia here, he can clarify some of these new things for us. So I know Mr. Gershaber is going ahead, and I don't know if you're doing it with Ms. Bernacki, how that process goes to have our two students.
Right, we're gonna, like I knew about this 3 hours ago. So
Yeah.
I did call Louis Garcia and talk to him about it, and he said, yeah, it just got passed, and I'm like, wow, this is like, why didn't we know about it? I just knew
Yeah.
about it too. So anyway, but I did ask him this question. I said, can we, with my two campuses, our two campuses, can I have one that's like from the freshman academy and one from here? Can we do that? And he kind of said, no, you can't, any student that wants to do it. So what I'm recommending is that we do have, hopefully a freshman will run and kind of say like, I'm the voice of this campus, please vote for me. And then we can have representation from both campuses. I would like that. But if it's 3 freshmen that win, then they win. But Amelia stays on until July, so it's 2 more. So it could be 2 freshmen that win, or it could be 2 varsity campus kids that win. I would hope it's 1 and 1, but that's just me wanting to hear more voice. Hey, more student voice, I'm cool with.
When do you anticipate this vote?
I have a cabinet meeting at 9:30. It will be on the agenda. We'll figure out how we're gonna do it. But hopefully by next meeting, we can have somebody. Yeah.
So that's why our picture is being
Yeah.
abstained
Yeah.
until we have
Yes.
our 2 new.
Appreciate everybody that dressed up.
Okay, so that's right. That's new. That's something new that we're going to be doing, which is great because I think we definitely want to have more students. Another thing that I had in here, sorry, I think it's right after the agenda, the minutes. I just wanted to add this in here. I believe Ms. Pasco shared this with me about the state of Illinois proclamation from the 1st of October. And this is acknowledging people with specific learning disabilities and learning supports. And actually, I mean, I don't know how this came about, but just because I'm looking at this, I wanted to know if we have one of our counselors here, if how we're doing with like I don't know, like when the money rolls out from CPS, you know, I know that they were going to be giving more money to the schools to deal with mental health and things because of everybody being remote learning for so long. Are we able to put something into practice? Has the money come?
I prefer.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have that money.
Okay.
We have been using that money as we go along.
Okay. Is there anything specific that we're doing to find, do we find the students? Do teachers just say, hey, I think the student needs, like?
No, we've increased, one of the things that we have a priority on the larger sum was to get a new counselor.
Okay, great.
Because we're gonna need a new counselor next year, so we're looking, it's just that the quality pool right now is,
Right.
and like all the good counselors are taken. So we're still looking like that, we're trying to find a social worker also.
Okay.
We used some of the money for welcome back to school, all the balloons, and we had a luncheon for the teachers and stuff like that. So we are using that money.
Okay.
Melissa Hanware.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Ms. Hess.
So Ms. Hess,
Hanware.
no, that's her maiden name.
Yeah.
Ms. Hess, did you want to, okay, we have a behavioral health team, we have a referral system in place, we have added supports from youth guidance. Thank you. Ms. Pascal, I'm sorry, did you want to say something? Were you trying to say something?
Yeah, Miss, what you wanted to say that you mentioned about the Learning Disabilities Association, and you wanted to know where this document came from.
Yes.
The Learning Disabilities Association of Illinois, which I'm a vice president of it. So it happened that the governor had been watching us, and he decided that the work that we've been doing during the last 10, 15, 20 years is he thinks that we are promoting special ed and that we are helping parents. The other thing regarding this proclamation is that we are committed to work with parents, all nationalities. I'm in particularly in charge of the diversity committee, and I send that to you to keep Taft involved, informed, and to see if parents and staff wanted to join the diversity committee, which is very exciting because it's all about legislation, and it's a way to learn how to improve education in the state of Illinois, and to learn how to deal with the legislatures and so on and so forth. So that's what the governor did, and we were very, very happy with the proclamation.
So Ms. Pasco, if anybody wants to join that or learn more about that, should they just email you?
Yeah. The other thing that perhaps this is not the time because it's not in the agenda yet on the new issues perhaps, is that I would like to get more involved with the Taft parents, all parents, in particular parents who are have children who are classified English language learners, and also those children who have IEPs. I'm available. I want to get more involved and help the parents in any way we can. That would be up to the Bilingual Council to decide whether or not they would like to do that.
Ms. Pasco, I know our assistant principal, Melissa Hess, but who also goes by Ms. Hendler, is her maiden name. If you wanted to contact her, I think she would be the AP who could talk to you about that.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody have any questions? Okay, and then I'm gonna just make sure that was everything that I had. Oh, sorry, I do have, and I'm not sure where it is. Uh-oh. So there was the BAC, if you've never heard of BAC, that's our Bilingual Advisory Council.
Committee.
A committee? Sorry, is it committee? Okay. And they had to report to us that they had formed a committee, and this is for bilingual families. And they did send in a report. I have that in the Google Drive. Just so they met on September 24th. We have Mr. Mihalov. He runs it, but I mean, he doesn't run it. Sorry, he organizes it. He gets get everybody together, and then they form the committee of parents. I don't know if there's any staff on it. It's just parents. And so in your minutes, you have the list of officers who were elected, what they discussed, which was their calendar, the allocation of budget, information about English language classrooms, electronic equipment used in bilingual programs was presented by Mr. Mihalov. They were shown the grade book, and they answered questions. I think there were 19 parents and students in attendance. Their next meeting is November 18th at 5 p.m. And so I don't know how large of a community our SEL is. Do you know how?
No.
I just know we have Spanish speakers, Polish speakers, Arabic speakers, and
We have 55 different home languages.
okay. So I know that those are our largest
Right.
communities, but anyhow, that their next meeting is on the 18th of November, and so if you go on to the staff and you find Mr. Mihalov, you can email him if you have any questions or you want to join or you want to participate. Is that- We have 400 students who are EL. Thank you, Ms. Hess. Okay. I think, yep. Yes?
I wrote this 11/18/21. I hope things are moving along well, and I'll be there. I'll be letting just sit there and see what they do.
Okay. Okay, any questions about that? All right, that concludes my report. So now we have our committee chair reports. Budget committee, Ms. Ragusa is gonna do our report for that.
Thanks. Our meeting was held today at 5:30. Principal G went over the same report he did at this meeting. It was a healthy discussion, and meeting adjourned at 5:45. Please attend next meeting at the Freshman Academy at 5:30.
And what's the room?
It's the dining hall.
The dining hall.
You just go in the main building and it's right there.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Ragusa? Okay, our next on the agenda, our next item on the agenda is the PPLC, or the Professional Personnel Leadership Committee, with Ms. Doherty Trebbing and Mr. Plunster.
One of the things that we wanted to note from our meeting that took place last week, we did discuss some culture and climate issues, things like behaviors that have been happening in the bathrooms that we discussed in relation to facilities, some of that hallway behavior, general school cleanliness, and essentially the reason all of those were grouped together is just how those all go hand in hand, right? Like if you know, we're understaffed custodial personnel and then things aren't clean and it's harder to keep clean. So we talked about the challenges of that. We talked about teachers dealing with those issues within the classroom, but some of these things are occurring in our classrooms, and so how to address those. But one recommendation that the PPLC made, things that we think have been effective in the past, are meeting with students, whether it's either in their house groups at the Freshman Academy or grade level meetings, you know, just in general to talk about school-wide expectations, things, you know, related to respecting your school, but also acknowledging that the extra component this year is the amount of time that we spent remote, right? And we all knew to anticipate that we would have additional, you know, social and emotional concerns, but I think we're seeing some evidence of those things that need to be addressed. So, yeah.
We also discussed, at our last meeting before this one, Mr. Gershaver kind of opened up, he challenged us to think of some sort of method of opening up discussion on the issue of school-wide grading policies, maybe doing it in teacher teams of some sort, and he challenged us to come up with some way to do that. So the PPLC kind of has come to the conclusion that differentiation between groups based on different student needs and different curriculum needs is key to a successful grading policy. We've been promised that we'd have an effective and open professional dialogue on these issues at the meeting. We're hoping that we can, as a staff, develop and participate in the development of meaningful, equitable assessment standards that promote both rigor and fairness. As always, your opinion as LSC members and the community at large is always welcome at our PPLC meetings. And we always publish when we're meeting and invite you all to be present. And LSC members, please share your insight, or folks here to answer any of your questions too. That's our report.
How often do you guys meet?
We meet usually about a week before the LSC meeting, although we did make a motion to meet a little closer to the LSC meeting because we noticed that a lot of things come up in that week. Yeah. I didn't talk to you about that yet, Mr. Gershon.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put it out there though. My first couple of years here with the PPLC were kind of rocky. We were kind of, the PPLC and the PPC were kind of meshed, and we kind of separated. But the last couple of years, we have a really effective PPLC. They're making really good recommendations to me and the leadership team that are really benefiting our staff. So it's collegial, We sometimes disagree, but we're all about talking about the kids. But I mean, it's really a high functioning committee, and I really have grown to enjoy it actually. So.
I didn't realize that anybody could go to the meeting.
Oh, yes, they're
I had no idea.
like the LSC subcommittee meetings, they're open to the public.
Yeah, there was a couple kids there too.
Good to know.
What is it? I'm assuming it's after school.
Yes.
So what time?
We meet right after school.
3:10.
Oh, like 3:10? Okay. So what you just did was you made a recommendation. Was that what the conclusion was? You made a recommendation to Mr. Is it to the PPC or to Mr.
We
Gershaber?
made recommendations to Mr. Gershaber. That's the function of the PPLC regarding issues of curriculum, school improvement plan,
And budget.
school budgeting. Yeah.
Okay.
So we made a few recommendations. One, we wanted to discuss professional development comes up a lot. So this grading thing is kind of a professional development situation we were discussing, and then the issues in the hallways and stuff, you know. That falls in the other category because it's kind of open a little bit what we get to discuss, and sometimes it's like, and other issues.
Right, I was gonna say that didn't seem as much like a PPLC thing, but.
Yeah. The way we're gonna LSC is we make recommendations to the principal and the LSC, that's you guys. All matters related to the educational program, including but not limited to fairness, curriculum, school improvement plan development, implementation, and school budgeting.
So have you discussed, and we were talking earlier in the earlier meetings today about just the flows in the hallway and issues with bathrooms, that having teachers step out during the passing periods and also having the teachers limit when kids go to the bathroom like in the middle of the class instead of on the end,
Yes, that
and
was
keeping their
discussed
phones?
specifically. I would like to say that since our meeting, the last week, like I told you, we have this meeting, a lot of teachers have been going out in the hall, and Mr. Gershaber's been joining us when he can.
Yeah.
And it has reduced the amount of wackiness going on. I will tell you that my students are very upset about the bathroom situation and talk to me about it daily. I think a lot of students feel like, A, they can't use the bathroom, and B, that they're being punished for something other people did. They're pretty upset about it, but, you know, what will people be? But we did discuss that.
I think the best thing you brought up this last time, which I totally agree with, is my shtick with the kids the first couple of weeks is when I meet with them, and it used to be the entire auditorium. And when I got sick that one year, the APs decided we're going to do it with just 90 kids. And when I came back, I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. I mean, now we've got them all. And I think they really need to see me and have the expectations. And I always said a couple of things like, number one, take it easy on each other. You don't know what the kid next to you is going through, whether his grandpa died or something like that. Number two, take it easy on your teachers. You don't know whether or not your teacher, their mom doesn't know their name now. And you need to understand, you need to have empathy for that. But also school-wide expectations that you have. If you have problems, this is where you go. When you see something, you say something. You could save a kid's life instead of being silent or that whole just get stitches stuff. You could save a kid's life. I think that's really important. I didn't do that this year. We kind of played it off on COVID and stuff, but I do believe we are going to do that. I'm working with Kat right now, but I think that's really powerful for the kids to see me up there, and then they know who their principal is. And I really like the fact that my kids know who their principal is. And I missed that this year, but not just for the ego thing, but I think it really is one person talking to them directly about what we expect in the school. And I think once we do that, it's going to get a lot better. But I like the fact that you made that recommendation. I take that to heart.
Did you feel like over this last week that things have improved in general then? You said with the flow, like in the how
flow certainly has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have
We're
you?
still catching parties in the bathroom that we have to just clear them out. And as we keep doing it and keeping this,
At the facilities meeting, Mr. Levin said that they are going to continually open more and more bathrooms up. And he just wasn't sure, like I guess they have a meeting in the morning to make a decision about how, so I guess they opened up, like a couple?
All
more?
of our bathrooms will be open up in about a week.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll all be opened up. And if they wreck them again, then we're going to have to do what we need to do.
Right.
I think the kids get it now. I really do.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for the PPLC? Okay. Okay, where are we? So the Facilities Committee, Ms. Maguso.
Thank you. So we met today at 4:30. We had a very robust conversation. We took the whole hour. I encourage any of you, we cover a lot of ground. The varsity campus, let's start there. As Principal G mentioned, we met with 4 officials from the CPS's Capital Planning and Construction Department. Our agenda consisted of finding a solution forward, how to strategize on resolving the 9 units on the rooftop. They're 30+ years old. They were very receptive to helping us provide a way forward, not necessarily financially, but with the whole construction aspect of it. It's a big, big construction job to replace these 9 units. The second thing, they did a big tour, a long tour, a detailed tour of the boys' locker room and the water issue that's related to that, which is a problem. It's a safety issue. We uncovered a couple other things as we were walking through the facility, and they were very attentive to the issue, and it is one of the items that they are going to work with us on to try to, not try to, but provide a resolution forward. The third item that we discussed with them was the climate control in the gym. And although CPS does not provide air conditioning or climate control issues, it's not on their priority, they committed to providing us with the engineering renderings and drawings, which we already have, we provided to them, but to helping us formulate a number that it would cost to resolve the climate control issue that we have. We all are familiar with last year's basketball, or 2 years ago basketball game in the gym, which provided very unsafe. And we have to have that resolved because that's our main gym in this school. And it is pretty much a 24/7 operation and on weekends as well. We also raised the issue with them separately about the custodial situation. Although that's not in their area of purview, they were emailing their colleagues it's facilities people at CPS. We have a need for 13 full-time custodians here at the varsity campus. We need 2 in the morning and we need 5 in the evening, full-time. So we're down to 7. We have 3,500 kids here. Kids, that's not staff.
3,200.
3,200. Okay, so all in, like, how many people are here?
Actually, 3,000, my fault, 3,000 people.
So 3,500 people here all in with staff and.
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
Okay. So we have asked Mr. Levens, I don't know if he's on, to invite our point from Aramark, their subcontractor Apache, to attend next meeting. It will be at the Freshman Academy. I asked that they attend the Facilities Committee first. And I also want them to present to the general meeting at 6:30. I imagine that a lot of folks would like to hear what they have to say, and we're to the point where we're done. We appreciate that there are issues regarding hiring people, labor shortages across the board. We all have heard, or perhaps with our own children are experiencing the issues with the bus drivers. And it's no different with the custodians. However, we need to understand lots of items with our custodial vendors, like how do they clean for COVID? What's their protocol? How do they have a schedule? Do they have a grading card? When do they anticipate filling these 7 critical open positions for us? So there's a lot of questions that need answers to, and hopefully Mr. Levens can get them to come next month. And I want them at both meetings, so hopefully we'll be hearing from that. And of course, Madam Chair will have it on the agenda if we get them to come. We'll put it on both agendas. We talk extensively about the bathroom situation. Currently, 4 bathrooms are open for the girls, 4 bathrooms for the boys. That's not a lot of bathrooms for 3,000 kids. So
I think 24 bathrooms is how many we
that's
have.
what he said, yeah. And again, this TikTok nonsense has caused our kids, along with every other high schooler around the country, to cause tremendous damage to their schools' bathrooms. And, you know, it's difficult for leadership in these schools to monitor this because they can't walk with the kids into the bathroom. But the way we're trying to mitigate this here at Taft is The security guards are spread out throughout the bathrooms that are open. Thankfully, the teachers are helping as well. They're stepping into the hallways and trying to, being a presence is hopefully a deterrent all unto itself.
Mostly we just say hello.
Yeah, yeah. And I just because I have a kid that is here, it's frustrating because to the reasons you said, for the non-offenders, it's like, A, they don't want to go into the bathroom because they don't want to be associated with what's going on in the bathroom, or they're not scared, but intimidated to go into the bathroom. So I think what leadership is trying to do here to mitigate it is what we can do. So hopefully the offenders will get caught and will have accountability, but that's very difficult to do since we can't go into the bathroom. Or B, the actions that administration is taking and the teachers helping will calm this down, and hopefully in several months this will be less of an issue.
Mr. Goose, if I can add right now, it's less of an issue right now, but what we forgot to say is something that they did at the Freshman Academy, is they made a PowerPoint, and it was shown, I believe, Bridget, correct me if I'm wrong, second period in there, and it was really a PowerPoint from the point of view of the custodians who were saying, listen, I have to clean all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you need to understand. And once we did that, I believe, and Karen, you tell me if I'm wrong, I believe the kids really responded more towards, we're going to get you, to like, really, I'm
That's
affected.
a great idea.
It was, and I
Great
think
idea.
that worked. I think the kids were actually going to write apology cards and everything, right? Did it work, Karen, do you feel?
I think so, and then I think like Brian and the dean kind of going from class to class.
Yeah.
After, I thought that definitely the custodians, and I know when Ryan.
The reinforcement.
He made them talk to the
That's great,
custodians.
that's a great idea.
And clean up, because.
I forgot to add that.
The custodians were in tears.
I bet, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we all know a little more on the draconian side, it's destruction of public property. It's an offense, and we don't want it to go to that extreme, but I don't think they realize the damage that they're
A lot of
the
them were
destruction.
mimicking, like even when they were stealing teacher items, they were mimicking what other
Yes,
students, they were kind of feeling like they had to
I
go
really,
along.
Ms. Devine, I think that's a terrific idea. I don't know if we've done that here at the varsity campus, but I would hope it would get to some of the kids that are the offenders who are doing it.
We have that slideshow was also.
Was it? Okay.
But I think the human touch of having our custodians who are so dedicated to keeping this place clean for our kids and who are so taxed right now because we're down 7 custodians, I think maybe hopefully that would get to some of these kids who are doing this.
That's going to be part of the presentation that I have, is to bring a custodian.
Again, so it was a big, robust discussion today on all of these. Not much at the Freshman Academy. I always tug on Ms. Trevin's to see, because she's there to see what's going on. And everything over there is a brand new building, so knock on wood, we shouldn't have too many issues. But the bathroom issue is still an issue there as well. And other than that, I believe that, we have a new, CPS has contracted with a new firm who oversees the engineers. And Mr. Levins met with our contact. As is everything, it's a clouded understanding of what the relationship is, so we've asked to see the contract, so we actually know what this vendor is supposed to be doing for us. But Mr. Levins is working on that. And again, I would like to encourage, once we know if we can get these custodian people to come in to give us a full report on their operations, it'll be on the agenda, so if we can get them to come. And that, Madam Chair, concludes the facilities report. And again, the next meeting will be held at the Freshman Academy at 4:30 in the morning.
Mr. Gusso, can I add one more thing? Because we forgot to talk about it at the facilities, but I think it's important when it comes to the Freshman Academy. We are talking right now with Alderman Spizzato. If anybody that knows the Freshman Academy, if you leave the Freshman Academy, not on Oak Park, but go down Normandy, and you stop where that circle is, and you're facing down Normandy, look to the right along that whole fence. That's Chicago City property.
Mm-hmm.
So they told me to contact Alderman Spizzato to get the city to lease that to us, so we can have that as our faculty parking, to get it paved, so my teachers don't have to, they're being wonderful parking over there on Oak Park right now, but when it starts getting cold, I don't have a problem with them parking at the closest spot they can. But if we can get that spot right there, it's gonna be the closest parking lot that they could possibly get. It's only gonna be about a 30-foot walk or a 40-foot walk. So we're talking with Alderman Spizzato right now. I called him on Friday. He said, Mark, I'm in budget meetings, call me next week, and so I'm gonna call him tomorrow. So hopefully that can get done. So not a promise, but we're fishing in that area. Sorry, Mr. Russo.
No, thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Russo? Ms. Pascal asks, would it be possible to visit the school? I'm sure you're meaning like a tour for the LSC. I don't know if.
Like visit the freshman academy? Our next meeting's there.
Yeah. Ms. Pascal, our next meeting is at the Freshman Academy. I'd love to see you there. I'll show you around.
If you want to ask a different question or anything, you can also, oh, here you go. Are you off mute? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry.
I'm not sleeping. I'm here.
Did you?
Very attentive. I would like to go and visit the school when the principal has a little time, if he does any time.
Just make an appointment with me, Ms. Pascal. I'll show you around the school, okay?
Okay.
Just email me, okay? I'll give you a half an hour, 45 minutes to walk around.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
And that goes for any LSC member.
Would you guys want to do I mean, I know our meetings are long because they go from 4:30 to whatever. Would you want to do like a whole LSC walkthrough, or do you want to schedule your own appointment? Well, you don't need, you know.
I think people that have already gone through it.
Yeah.
Karen, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions on that? Okay. Our next up is our Safety and Security Committee report. Ms. McDormand?
We met today at 3:10. Our first discussion was about security guards. We are down a couple guards here at the varsity campus. They're hoping that possibly one of our security guards on a medical leave that's been extended, so hopefully we're looking to see if maybe they can hire a temp if they can get posted, processed before January. That would be great, but we don't know. There is also a flex team that CPS has of a staff of possibly maybe 25 extra security guards. But if you need extra help, the elementary schools usually get the first dibs because they only have one security guard per school. So the odds of possibly getting that help is slim. We did get a new security officer last week at the Freshman Academy. We also discussed, Kat was discussing about miscellaneous employees. So right now, because the library is being used as a communal room, there has to be a security guard in there, which shortens us to have somebody in the hallway. So miscellaneous employees obviously can help out where needed, but getting somebody hired sometimes can be a challenge. She had asked if any of us, if anybody knew of anybody who would love to have that position. She actually asked me. So thank you.
You're the LSC, you can't.
Well, no, I didn't. Anyway, a lockdown drill is going to be rescheduled. It was supposed to happen last week, but due to last week's threat, that was, just to reiterate, it was incredible. It had nothing to do with Taft, and it was not a Taft student. But they canceled the lockdown drill, so there was no. So it will be rescheduled. There will be an allergen drill scheduled, a bus evacuation drill scheduled, and a fire drill has to be done before November 15th. Safety and Security Committee has finalized their emergency plans. Everything's in good shape and they have been submitted. I asked Kat if she was aware of a new TikTok challenge that is out there. She was. Most people weren't. It is a new challenge that is you slap or punch a teacher.
Oh, great.
Yes. Everything's been good here.
No one's gonna do that.
But it has happened. Personally, it's happened to my daughter, so. They didn't punch, it's close.
What happened?
My daughter teaches 7th and 8th grade. CPS school,
Oh.
and she's also due with her baby next month. And a 7th grade student who she was walking to the lunchroom decided to haul off and try to punch her. This company stopped short
Cool.
and said, just kidding, so.
Yeah, it's called assault. I hope he was arrested.
Yeah.
Well, restorative was to a reflection, pretty much it. So she was very shook up because she said, what would have happened if they punched me? And I have a nothing.
No, that's not true.
Well, she said I would definitely.
Yeah, then you press charges.
Press charges,
Yeah.
yes, but it seems like, she said, they just don't get the consequences, and that was some of the issues of like, what are some of the consequences they need to have so they learn this isn't okay to do this, But that is out there, thankfully.
Yeah.
Kat wasn't concerned, she said, I think these kids here have enough possibly to do that, or would be too afraid, I don't know.
That's actually, there's a whole 12 months of their TikTok challenges.
Oh, yeah, it's.
This one, some are I'm a little concerned about kiss your friend's girlfriend and stuff. That's gonna be something I don't know. But we're gonna when I meet with them, we're gonna try to say that, it's a little, the bathroom one was tough because we don't have cameras. Everywhere else, we have cameras everywhere. So I think there's gonna be more accountability.
Right, and Kat actually shared an article with me. I think did she ever put it up? Or did it at the meeting or no? I do have it. I can share it with the LSC. I can send it out. It's actually a very good article that, because of the COVID year and how everybody, the concern of when the kids coming back, how it was going to affect, it's really taken effect across the whole country, just because it's extremes from kids that are quiet and not responding and talking to kids that are just things that would normally be no big deal or a big deal. You nudge me in the hallway, sorry, but now it's leading to fights, and they anticipated this happening, but it's just been a big thing. The fighting is up all over. It's not just Chicago.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's a really interesting article. I will send it out to the LSC.
I'm also concerned about our staff.
Yes.
Because I think that's not talked about enough, is what our staff has been through.
Yeah,
and so we need some PD on that. We need to talk about how our staff.
There was definitely examples of just how it's being affected in staff, where students were saying they're just amazed to see how different like other kids are, or even some staff. They're stressed, so they might be a little bit more short-tempered, or the students, what's going on.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's society. We were thrown together again, and I see it in traffic and Jewel, and it's just a kind of a weird vibe going on. We did have a positive TikTok challenge. I gave out 100 Eagle keychains if you show the principal a straight A report card. So we had a positive TikTok that went out last week.
Did my son?
Or is this supposed to be?
If he saw me, and show me his report card. He got an Eagle keychain.
Oh, sure he did it.
Show me it. All right. So we have about 100 kids.
They still take 101. Okay, anyway, moving on to misconducts.
Oh, we also had a homecoming proposal challenge. That was a positive.
That was a positive,
Oh, yeah, there you go. And the misconducts, the fighting is up. It's just been, the year's been really rough. And a lot of it is just, like you said, short temper, stuff that's happening that normally wouldn't. The most concern we had was about the vaping. The vaping is still happening a lot, and Kat had reached out and said, if anybody's got any ideas, she asked, because we had, I think in the last 2 years, we had that like workshop, or if maybe we should do it again this year, trying to figure out how to get it through their heads, how dangerous it is. The interesting thing is she said, because everything gets taken from them, the items, it's not like parents come get it, it's illegal for them to have it. But she said it's amazing how many parents are buying kids the vaping because they don't realize how dangerous the chemicals are. I'm like, who does that?
What the marketing ploy they have out there right now is it alleviates stress and anxiety with a lot of these kids. That's how they're marketing this to parents who are saying.
So does exercise and meditate.
I get all that, but I'm just saying.
Some of them are like, the chemicals. And I said, well, what can we do? Is it's do we have somebody that talks to them that shows them graphic? She's like, I don't know, they tried Scare Straight, years ago and stuff, they find it doesn't work. I'm like, I don't know. So if anybody's got any ideas, there was a woman that spoke with her daughter. Do you remember that one? Where her daughter was vaping and mom didn't know, and they both have become advocates because of the dangers of what it's causing to their lungs, to these kids.
We're trying to plan some parent universities where parents understand that when they look at their kid's phone and they see something like Venmo on there. Well, Venmo is how they buy things off of the internet.
Right.
And you think it's like some app that they're doing with their friends, and it's not. That's how they're buying this stuff off the internet. And all you got to really do is say, yes, I'm 21. It's real easy to get.
Yeah.
Are we having a I know we were having like, but
We're
it was a
trying.
virtual thing, like, just like our
Yeah.
regular kind of like back to school meetings and things like that?
Yep.
Will you
Yeah, we're planning
post
those.
stuff
Mhm.
like, or statistics
Yeah,
there?
because
Yeah.
she said we have material we can out, it's just
Yeah, I
not enough.
I know. I mean, I think you can't beat it over the head enough. I mean, I think you can't say it enough. You have,
We're never gonna give up, but I mean,
Yeah.
kids have been smoking cigarettes for
Oh,
years,
yeah,
and
yeah,
now
yeah.
they're all got lung things going on, but, yeah, kids,
this
it's
is just
a
more
hard enough.
dangerous because of all the.
I think the way to approach it is to get the parents and say, check their backpacks. It's your backpack, you bought it, you check the backpack every time they get home, and I think that might help us a little bit, so.
And there's probably things they can look out for too, just that was, we have with that mother, was like the sickness, the cough, whatever, you look and see something different. You know, I don't know. She was just trying to figure out if anybody's got ideas to share them, to figure out what more can we do to get it through their head. And the other was just, there's still some THC going on too with some of the kids.
Yep.
So, but that was pretty much it. Nobody has any questions? About safety and security, we wrapped up. Good amount of time. So our meetings are 3:10, they're still gonna be virtual,
Okay.
so they went to 10. I think that's my report.
All right, thank you. No questions? Okay, so we have the art report, Mr. Cohen.
Okay, so, there's a bunch of stuff on here, I'll move through it at a good pace though. Starting with drama, Motorman, directed by Mr. Natick and written by Mr. Natick and a team of Taft students, is in rehearsal and will be opening at the end of the month. Performance dates are October 26th through the 29th, and we added a second week of performances, November 2nd through the 5th, to allow for online streaming in the event of, who knows, right? Just to try to get as many people to see the show as possible. Tickets will be available for sale online in a week or so, and we're currently exploring our options for streaming the second week of performances more to come. Taft alum Viviana Saputi is currently starring in UIC's production of Passage by Christopher Chen. The production opened this past Saturday and runs through October 23rd. Taft alum Georgia Kozo just finished up a fantastic run in the lead role of Catherine in The Taming of the Shrew at Marquette University, where she's a matron in theater and speech pathology. Her brother Dario, also a Taft graduate, is now running the lights for all theatrical productions at Marquette as a freshman. So the Kozo Taft dynasty has moved north.
Nice.
Auditions for Taft's winter production, Mr. Burns, the post-electric play directed by Mr. Cohen, will be held during the first week of November. There will be nearly 24 roles available for this wildly ambitious post-apocalyptic Simpsons musical, performing February 19th to 12th in the Taft Black Box Theater. It's a wild show. Combination. Come talk to me after the meeting. I'll give you a lot about it. Combined music and drama. All together now, it's in rehearsal. There are 38 students in the cast, and each student is featured in at least 5 songs. This is planned for review. Co-directors, Ms. Foster, Ms. Jones, Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Patakis, along with our choreographer, Ms. Jados, are very excited about all the new young talent in this show. Performance dates are November 12th, 13th, and 14th in the University Campus Auditorium for family of the cast and crew, and we'll be streaming online. Additional details forthcoming once we establish a streaming platform. From music, the TFA singers have begun meeting under the direction of Ms. Jones, and Mr. Patakis has founded a men's choral ensemble at the Taft Varsity campus. Meetings and rehearsals are held on Mondays from 4 to 5:30. And then in visual arts, Art Club has begun. Meetings are held every Tuesday from 3:15 to 4:15 to allow students from TFA to make their way over to the varsity campus. And Ms. Haynes reports that last week's first meeting of the club had 64 students in attendance.
Wow.
So it's great to see like that groundswell of enthusiasm for the arts here continuing.
Do they have enough space? Do they have a big enough room?
Yes, so they're in the arts, so the art rooms are generally pretty large.
Yeah.
And this room that they're in, doesn't actually have walls separating the spaces, so they're in one room that's actually 3 rooms.
Okay.
So there is actually enough space for that many kids to spread
Great.
out. It might be the only room in the building where that's the case.
Okay.
That's it.
Great, excellent.
Can I just say thank you, Mr. Cohen, who is now, Mr. Cohen is going to go down as the voice of Taft. He does all of our home games. He also does our announcing at graduation. Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
And Mr. Kuczynski as well. It took a week or so to build the chemistry, but I think.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Cohen? Um,
No, but did we skip this?
oh, I'm so sorry, we did. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so our next report is the student representative, Ms. Mano. Do you want to go ahead?
Yes, hello. For my report, I wanted to just once again highlight the issues that students have with the lockers. I know we talked about this earlier in the meeting, but it's been a month and the actual student body have heard basically nothing from administration. And this is probably the biggest concern that students have right now. And I think it's been made known to everyone involved at Taft exactly why this is such a huge issue. And I think a lot of students feel like they received little to no explanation as to why this rule was put in place. And I can guarantee you that every student in this building feels the exact same way about this. And I think that this decision should probably be reversed if the administration has the students' best interest at heart, or a very good reason should be given as to exactly why only athletes should receive lockers this year. And thank you for your understanding. This is just, I think, like, especially as it gets colder, this is just increasingly more and more on everyone's minds because we have nowhere to put our coats, nowhere to put our textbooks, and it's just becoming increasingly difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Mano? Okay, so then we are going to move on to the athletics report. Ms. Cobb.
So this is from Mr. Kessler, our athletic director. It's been a busy fall for Taft Athletics. There are 21 teams competing across 13 sports. Leading the way has been the varsity football team and the return of Friday Night Lights, which, if ticket requests are any indication, has turned into quite the community event. The team has certainly played well enough to warrant the excitement. They are currently on a 3-game winning streak as they head into this Friday's homecoming game against Whitby. Taft's inaugural women's flag football team is also doing extremely well. They played for their conference championship tonight at Rocky Stadium.
Can I just say they won? The only team that beat them, it's 5 freshmen and 1 sophomore that are starting. The only team that beat them this year was Von Steuben, who they just beat tonight, 19-0.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So they got the championship game on Saturday.
Nice.
Excellent. Our 16-inch softball team made it to the city championship game. It was we lost a hard-fought battle to Dayton. In academic center news, Vanessa Alvarado took first in the Hanson Park Cross Country Invitational. Her 1.5 mile time was 8.46.
What other schools were there, Karen?
There were probably 29 schools.
Wow. Wow.
Whitney was there, Lane was there.
And
And she won.
Was 8th grade?
No, 8th
Eighth
grade.
grade.
It was the academic center. She said, we're hoping to keep her.
Yeah.
Keep her. She's a keeper.
He finishes up as the Eagles continue to soar. Be on the lookout for winter sports registration information coming soon. Go Eagles. Thank you, Mr. Kessler.
He's doing a great job.
Yes, he is.
I don't know if anybody has any questions, if you could answer them, I don't know.
And the starting quarterback.
He's on top.
Oh,
is he here?
Mr. Kessler's on.
okay.
I would like Mary Kay to
If anybody's got questions, I can answer them.
Who's the starting quarterback?
For which team?
Okay,
The varsity football.
Farah Abad.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you for the report.
You got it.
Sun Times was out there today. They're doing a story on Ryan, our senior.
Really?
Yeah, so
Nice.
keep an eye on that, Sun Times.
All right, so we now have our Friends of Taft report from Ms. Bernacki.
Okay, I did not hear back from the PTSA. Do we have a PTSA?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Isn't that
So-
Valerie Kelly?
Yeah,
Okay.
and usually, she'll send me a report, but I haven't heard from her since
Okay.
last year, I sent, last month, and I sent her a week before. I
I'll
sent
try to
her-
call
Okay.
him tomorrow.
So I don't know, I'll have to reach out again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on. And as far as the alumni goes, there really isn't a report. It's just, Mr. G, when the Friends of Taft High School gets organized, please include the TF, the Alumni Association, so we can help where we can. So, and that's all I have.
Is there, I know it's so difficult to even try to have a conversation, but like more fundraising stuff, like the first 2 years, well, Kathy's band, there was the Taft fundraiser.
Right, so that was the Taft Night Out, and
Yeah, Taft Night
actually
Out.
Miss
Karen,
Divine started it.
I had the crazy idea.
Yeah, yeah, and
Great idea.
it went on for a few years, and then Melissa took it over,
Yeah.
and then COVID hit. So our last function was like when the COVID first started. So,
It was, yeah.
yeah.
I get it, and
Eventually,
it's probably
after
too
a meeting,
premature
yeah.
to even have that conversation, but I mean, the idea is still that we'll eventually
Right.
get back to doing something like that.
But I think
right?
that the Friends of Taft,
It's gonna replace.
right, and I know that was in the works, but
Yeah.
it was part of it was the PTSA, so I'm not sure what's going on now.
Yeah, PTSA is trying to get out of the PTSA because it's kind of like a franchise. Somebody talking?
No, go, keep going.
Everybody just looked up.
And there really isn't any PTSAs in
No.
high school. I mean, this was
Yeah,
kind of
and it
unique.
costs, from what I understand, like $5,000 a year to do it, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna form a Friends of Taft.
Okay.
And when they form the Friends of Taft, that will be more of our major fundraising arm of the school, where they can help us, where the Boosters Club.
People are still unemployed and.
I get it, yeah, I get it.
Businesses are suffering, so to go in there and ask them for something, you know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a hard time right now.
I just would hope that, maybe 4 years,
Sure.
3 or 4 years from now, we can get back to, you know, a nice campaign for.
Really, what we need to do is you need Friends of Whitney Young, you need someone on there that's gonna reach out to our alumni as far as endowments go. Because that's where we're at right now. Our alumni are now endowment age to where we can talk to them about it, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Bernacki?
Thank you for the pizza, Ms. Bernanke.
Okay, yes, the pizza back there is provided by Ms. Bernacki.
Thank you, Ms. Bernard.
You're welcome.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so we'll move on to old business, and I apologize, I got ahead of myself. I emailed too many people to ask them to set up if they would want to set up a committee for the 4-year principal evaluation, because we have to gather kind of it's a little different because it's a 4-year evaluation. I don't know if anybody wants to be on that, or if I just drop information into our Google Drive, if that will suffice. I'm going to ask you, Mr. G, if you can provide us, because I know we didn't have SCORE for 2 years, if you can provide us with any sort of statistics for the last couple of years.
Sure.
And then I'm going to ask Ms. Fern, she's going to give me the last 3 principal evaluations. So because this is a cumulative 4-year evaluation, so for those of us who haven't been here, we need to, and also just to refresh people, we need to go ahead and look at that. So I'm going to get that information and drop that into there. Again, we have to have that evaluation done by February 1st. So I'll get all that information in there as soon as possible. I do have the CIWP in there. So we want to review the CIWP. I put in the form that's in that LSC packet for how to do a principal evaluation and all those metrics, but I had also put in there a form that populates, I can put in everybody's, like there's one form that would be for everyone individually to fill out, and then I put it all in and it populates it so we can quickly see what people are thinking, and if we do that ahead of the date that we're going to actually do the evaluation and discussion, then we can also see where we have like disparity between how we're voting on things, and that might help us have a more pointed discussion instead of just being all over the place. So I would recommend, I wouldn't, don't do the evaluation now. We need to have the 3 years put in there, and we need to look at the CIWP. And if we have questions or other things like that, we need to, I don't know if we want to bring up questions that we may have at the next meeting, whether they're for Mr. G to ask him to clarify things, or if we have questions for each other.
When does this have to be done by?
February 1st.
Okay, so we should probably put a meeting on the books like now for us to get together and do this, right?
Yeah.
We need to be physically together.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna work remote, this isn't, it has
It's
to be.
very
Right.
difficult to talk back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So would you like to have a special meeting?
Yes,
Just
that's
for,
how we've
just for
always
this? Have you done it? Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes it can get kind of lengthy.
Okay.
We've had
Yeah.
maybe 2 meetings usually.
We have
I
to
think
about 2 to 3 hours.
yeah, so we need to have a separate meeting. So if you can like do a survey monkey of some sort to try to get.
See what days are good.
Yeah, what days are good for everybody, and we can start that way.
Okay.
And then everybody has the information. I think everybody's been through it. Maybe so Karen's the only one that has not been through it, but,
So would you like to meet once before the November meeting and then once after the November meeting, but before the December meeting or you know, because we don't have a January meeting and that's gonna be harder.
I don't think we can meet before November 1st. I mean, we can, we can check it out if people could make it, but.
Well, I'm just saying, because if you think that we'll have 2 meetings on it, like 2 meetings separate from the actual LSC meeting where we're gonna
Yes.
put it all together and vote.
Yes.
Okay.
So when we go to the actual LSC meeting,
It's already.
it's done. We
We're just
know,
voting.
right, we're
on
just
what we
voting.
discussed.
Okay.
So we
So that's
have
how you've done it.
separate
Okay.
meetings just for, and they're open meetings,
And then we're gonna close that.
And then, right.
yes. So it's just like an LSC meeting, it's too much for that.
Right,
same
for the,
day.
yeah.
Madam Chair, I would recommend the period between November 9th and December 14th. It keeps us up for the holidays. Hopefully we can button it up.
It would be nice to get it done early.
Have it done for him ahead of time.
Right.
Well, I think we should definitely meet before the December one for sure, because then if we have
Absolutely,
questions, then
Right.
we need clarification.
Right, so between the November 9th and, ideally a week before.
Even from, like the 1st of November, you look at the whole month of November besides our meeting day.
So you think getting in then both meetings between November 1st and December 14th?
That would
That's
be
what we're looking
ideal,
for?
I
Okay.
think.
Okay. All right, then I'll do a survey.
Yeah.
To get,
And we have all the information, so we can certainly sit down, and we all know, we know a lot of information from the principal reports, we know personal information, what you're receiving from your kids, information because you have kids in the building and so forth, so there's a lot that you can, read through, and you've gone through it before.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, I think we'll need to get those 3 previous evaluations because it's cumulative, and we'll just
absolutely.
have Mr. Gershaber give us the statistics that he has, since we don't have the squirt for the last 2 years to
Right.
look
And
at
just
those.
remember to not send it to the student,
Oh, yeah, we're not.
or obviously, Mr. G, and it's confidential, I'm sure everybody realizes.
That would be great if we can get this on the books.
Yes. Yep.
It's intensive.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and send out a survey and get that started then for our next time we'll meet on that and have a special meeting. Does anybody else have any old business or questions on that? Okay. Does anybody have any new business?
I just want to remind everybody that the next meeting is at the Freshman Academy,
Yeah.
Right. And I will make sure.
starting at 4:30. Tommy, will you be able to go there?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause that's, it'll be our first IT setup there this way.
Okay.
I think Ryan's got.
Can we have a round of applause for Tommy for being?
Tommy.
Wait, did you?
Actually, all of our staff members who are working late tonight.
Tommy's super great.
Is there anything, I don't have this on here, but is there anything anybody wants to have added to the agenda? I'm gonna try to get it done earlier, so there's more time for people to add things, so I can also get it translated and
Thank you for
attached to the
putting it in
emails.
Spanish. I think that's awesome.
You're welcome.
First time we've done
I'm trying to get it into a couple other languages as well, but
That's incredible.
I don't
There's a lot here.
speak anything else. So if anybody has anything else, I'll ask Mr. Gerst. Do you want me to ask? I'll ask him if he can attend our next meeting.
I would think, I don't think it's wrong.
No, I think we have a lot of questions in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah, especially going into the principal evaluation and reading this, I'll let Karen read it too and see, but we'll ask him specifically, and that's probably what this means, but we'll see.
And then I'll also include on the agenda, I'll just put the custodial thing on there.
Yes.
because, we may find out too late, I want to get that on there ahead of
And
time.
I can always amend the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you, yeah, great.
So we have public participation, limited to 2 minutes. And yes, I was gonna say, if you want to have make a public comment, please just type in, I would like to make a public comment, and then we'll just go in order of the people who put into the comment section. Ms. Hess, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to make a quick announcement. We have a parent workshop coming up this Thursday, October 14th. It's at 5:30 via Google Meets. It's a presentation presented by CPS Crisis Management Unit, and it's called Healing and Hope. It's a presentation for parents that addresses current and ongoing grief and trauma within our community. It talks about the signs and symptoms of grief and trauma, as well as how to cope with grief and trauma, and it'll provide resources within the school and the community. So I just wanted to extend that invitation. The parent workshop will be virtual via Google Meets, and this announcement has been posted on our Taft website.
Thank you.
If I can add real quick,
Oh,
Ms.
sure.
Ms. Hess was instrumental. She was the one that got us 3 extra special ed positions, 4 SICAs, and now today she got us 3 overtimes for our special ed. So thank you, Ms. Hess. I want to
add that in between doing all that, she cleared out the bathroom today about 2 or 3 times. How do you do all that?
And I also forgot to say, Mr. Kuzma had his baby Xavier Kuzma.
Oh.
Yeah, 3 AP babies in the last year.
Wow, that's a lot of AP babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Hope and Healing Parent Workshop. Okay, here's more information on it. Hope and Healing and Hope is a presentation for parents that addresses current and ongoing grief and trauma in the community. The presentation discusses the signs and symptoms. Okay, thanks. I think that's everything we just said. Thank you, Kat, for including that. There is a link now in our comment section. And as Ms. Hess said, that is also, I would imagine it's in our announcements on our front page. Thank you for that information, and hopefully we have a good turnout. I would say if you can send out an email, you can get Mr. Eaton to send out an email so people, I'm not sure if, I think one may have already gone out, but I think a reminder. Because I know I saw one, but I didn't see a date and a time and a link. Are there any other public comments tonight? I know it takes everybody a minute or 2, but I'm going to count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, so we will now adjourn. Although, anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Good night. Thank